designers listening, basically, how can we make the load time, the spinning wheel of death, a little bit more bearable, and kind of get into some design best practices as well in this episode. So Mustafa, kick it off. What do we got today?
Okay, so we're looking at an experiment that was done by Facebook. Now, I'd like to start off with, this is highly unethical. We are not suggesting anybody does this, but I think what the story brings up is quite an interesting thing about people's perception. So Facebook, there's this story where a designer was speaking to a Facebook designer who shall not be named, and we talked about an A/B test that Facebook actually did some few years ago, some time back, a few years ago, and they had like their generic spinner, which was like 3 squares, and they animate like from left to right, and then they actually created the iOS spinner that you get, which is like your typical thing that literally is a spinner that spins around. And what they found was whenever the app was slow, and they used a Facebook spinner, like from their website, people would blame the app for its slowness. They say, "Oh, something's wrong with Facebook. This is a terrible app." But when they switched the spinner to the iOS spinner, so it looks like something is happening in iOS, but within the app.
Wait, so to be clear, this Facebook loader was basically 3 bars lighting up from left to right, and then the iOS was just the spinning wheel of death, right?
Yeah, pretty much. So when they did the Facebook one, people blamed the app, so Facebook is slow. But when they, in the A/B test, they actually swapped with like the spinner of death. Within the Facebook app, people blamed iOS and blamed the system. So an interesting thing where things can slow down within an app, maybe things are taking too long to load, just by what we call blaming the system rather than blaming the app. It's a very interesting take, they're people's perception. Because people will be much more patient with their operating system than they would with an app. Like with an app, you just try to force quit, right? You just get something's wrong with that. But if it's Windows or Mac OS, you're compelled to wait because this is the system. So I found this quite an interesting thing.